Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about JavaScript types, and there are 7 different JavaScript types. Now, we're not going to cover all of them, but we're going to cover the first 3, numbers, strings, and booleans. Then in future, we will cover undefined, null, symbol, and objects. And why I say in future? Well, because for these 4, 5, 6, and 7, we need to have a background knowledge in order to understand them. That's the only reason. And I don't want to confuse you from the beginning of this section. Okay, now in order to follow me in this section, it is preferable for you to have installed a text editor or a code editor. So I'm going to use VS Code. Now, how you can install VS Code? So you can type on Google VS Code, and code.visualstudio.com will be the link that you want to visit. And inside here, you can download for your operating system. So you can install it. For me, I have already done it, and it's for Mac. And if you're using Windows, it will say for Windows. Okay. Now, some student will ask me why I'm telling you this again, because in some of the other sections, I would probably say that you need to have installed VS Code. Well, the thing is that the students will skip some of the sections, and when they see me using something they haven't installed on their machines, they will start asking me questions. That's the only reason. Now, why I'm using VS Code throughout this course? Because it's very lightweight and it's very supportive. It has a lot of extensions here, right? And also built-in Git. You can run and debug, and it's IntelliSense. Very good. Now, you don't need to know everything of this. Okay, so why I'm going to use VS Code one more time is because that I will want to write JavaScript code here and save it in files. So those files, after that, you can access them and you can change them, you can modify them, you can refresh your memory, you can do your exercise. That's the only thing. Now, one more thing that I want to show you is that you can run the JavaScript code even in your browser, right? So if you open google.com and if you inspect it, you will see here a console tab. So if you go on the console tab, now here you can write code. For example, let's do basic mathematical operation. 9 plus 6, that will be 15, right? So you need to hit return or enter, because before was light blue in my browser. For example, here it is, it's 13, but when I hit return on Macs or enter in Windows, you will see this as a dark blue. Okay, that is pretty much it what I want to show you. Now, how are we going to do this? First things first, you need to have on your desktop to download this JavaScript Genesis folder. And in this directory here, I do have 2 things. Final will contain all of those lectures, exercises, solutions, but starter will be empty. And I'm gonna start with the starter, right? But you will need the final one in order to see all of the exercises. So I want you, after each and every lecture, to go there and to see if that lecture has an exercise and do them. And also there are solutions if you are stuck. Very good. I'm just shift your folder on your desktop. So mine is on desktop. So here I'm gonna say open folder. Good. I'm gonna navigate to desktop, starter, hit enter. This is how you use VS Code. Nice. So inside here, we're gonna create a file. There is a plus symbol or right click new file. I'm gonna use here. I'm gonna create index.html file, and here start typing doc, hit tab, and it will give you the entire document. Now the title, you can change the title, whatever title you want. For example, just put it here, JavaScript fundamentals. Very good. And in the body, you can type h1 tag and say okay. Say again, JavaScript Genesis fundamentals. Very good. Now, that is pretty much it what I want you to have in this file. So I'm going to use this one, right? And so probably you need to install the live server. So go here on the extensions tab and hit live server. And here it is, launch. Mine is already being installed, but you will see here install, right? So install that one. If you need to close your VS Code, close it, just to restart it, and you're good to go. So why I need this live server? So here you can actually activate this live server. Go right click and open with live server, or there is a shortcut. Good, just open it with live server, and here it is, JavaScript Genesis Fundamentals. This is coming from the H1 tag that we wrote. Okay, now, well, I'm going to write here another file. Let me do it like this, and you called lecture, lecture1-1.js. This is how we're gonna name our lectures, and this lecture is a JavaScript file. Now, I just want to tell you that we do have a couple of ways how we can write JavaScript in our browser, and the first thing is that we can do external files. This is called external files, but in order for this to work, I'm going to tell you that we need to load them here. So first we need to say script, and we need to close this one. Now in the script tag we have source, and the source will be our current directory / and that will be lecture1.js. Very good. And also we need to specify the type, so browser will know what to expect. The type will be text and /JavaScript. JavaScript, cool. Now our JavaScript file, external JavaScript file, is connected with this file here, right? So there's other ways, but they're very basic. I'm gonna tell you in future, you don't have to worry about it, right? Okay, now about JavaScript types. You can make a comment in JavaScript with two / and type JavaScript types. Okay, now the first one that I want you to know is called number. So why is this very useful? Okay, this is one of the basic ones. So with numbers, we can do basic math operation. For example, we can just calculate how much is 3 plus 7. Okay, just do it. 3 plus 7, semicolon, put a semicolon there, save it. Or if you don't see me, so here there is a bubble. That means that I haven't saved it. No, so now you need to also, before checking your code, you need to save it. So Control S or Command S in Mac, Command S in Mac, or Control S in Windows, and that will save the file, so there is no bubble there, right? But now if you go here and if you refresh, if you right click, inspect, in the console there is nothing there. And why is this? Before, remember, we just wrote 3 plus 7 and it would give us the result. But now I'm using the direct console here, this terminal here. But in VS Code, I don't have access to that. So if you want to print out something to the browser here, which I can just delete it here. Let me just first delete like that. Okay, so I need to write console.log and put this one in brackets. Now save it again and just go back here, and here it is. You do have 10. Actually, with live server, you don't have to refresh because it's gonna work automatically. So with numbers, we can do basic maths operation. What else we can do? Let's try something else. Let's console.log. Oops, console. So we use console.log every time we want to show something, right? So 10 minus 9, save it. Let's write a couple of them. Console.log, and here we're gonna say 10 times 3. Let's divide something. Console.log, divide 20 divided by 5. Okay, now save it. Go back to your browser, and you will see that I have 10, 1, 30, and 4. Good. 4 is coming. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 10 times 3 is going to be 30, and this will be 1. And the first one will be 10. Okay, so if you want to write it, we can achieve the same thing here. 10 times 3, it will be equal to 30. 10 minus 9, it will be 1. And 20 divided by 5, it will be 4. And how does this live server is working? It will create a URL. This will be our local host, actually our local machine, and it will give us a port. Maybe you're gonna have a different port, but doesn't matter. /index.html is the file that I've created, this one. So you can hit here exclamation mark, save it again, and there you go. The changes are already there. And plus everything that we have done here in this is also printed out here, right? Okay, now, so let me quickly show you something else. So we can do more complex operations like using brackets or small brackets. So console.log, for example, more complex operation is 5 minus 2, that will be multiplied by 4 minus let's say 2, right? Maybe that's not a good example. Let's do it here. 6 minus 2. So how this will work? Well, if you know maths, this first 6 minus 2 will be calculated. It will be 4. Then 4 minus 2, it will be calculated. It will be 2. And after that, whatever is in the brackets, we can multiply it, right? So we can't just 6 minus 2, 4 times 4. So we first need to work in the brackets, and after that, just to calculate this one. So save it. So this should be 4 times 2 should be 8, right? And here is the result. That is cool. So we can do a more complex math functions here, right? Now let's talk about module. Now what is module? Well, module gives you the reminder. So let's write in the console. So for this, I'm gonna show you in the console, right? Just to make you practice that we can even use the console. So 16 modulo and 7, and that will give me 2. Why? Well, 7 can be contained 2 times. So 2 times 7, it will be 14, and 16 minus 14 is 2. So modulo will give us the reminder, right? The reminder of 16. So how many times 7 can be contained in 16? 2 times. And 2 times 17, so let's do this. 2 times 7, not 17, it will be 14. So 14 minus 16, that will give us the reminder. So that is how we can use module, right? Now, that is pretty much with numbers. Let's do the second JavaScript type, and that will be string. Now, what are strings? So string is text, and JavaScript needs to know if we are writing text. And for this, we need to use single or double quotes. So console.log, and let's say I just want to print out my name, Rick. Good. Now I'll use single quotes, but you can use double quotes. Let's see. Here it is, Rick. Now, what we can do, we can console log my last name. Let's use double quotes. It's not going to change anything. Make sure that when you use double quotes here, you need to use double quotes at the end. So save it. Here it is. Now we can do something more interesting. Let's do console.log. So strings are very interesting to use. So I'm going to say Rick here plus Sekulowski, my last name. And so this here is not considered as a mathematical symbol. So this here is considered as concatenation. And what it will do, it will combine, it will actually glue Rick and Sekulowski together. So those two strings will be attached one to each other. And this is not good, but what we can do, we can fix it, or we can do space here, and that will fix it, right? Or we can get with space here, that will fix it, but sometimes you will see that some people are doing this. So they're making an empty string here, right? So it's a space between, but again, they need to use the plus sign to concatenate with this one. So the empty string will be concatenated with the first part, right? This one, but also the empty strings need to be concatenated with the second part. So save that, and it will yield the same result. Very good. But so I used single quotes, but what if I want to do another quote inside? So for example, I own something. So it's Rick's car, for example. Let's do it. Console.log, and let's write Rix like that, and it's not allowing me. And car, should I have it here? So let's change this to double quotes here. Nice. So this should work, but in the past it wasn't working because I use double quotes and single quotes together. But if I use single quotes, then I do have a real big problem. Now, why I do have real big problem? Well, in JavaScript, we can use something that will ignore this quote. So the solution is to use backslash. So we use backslash here, and what we are basically saying to the compiler, okay, what's after the backslash, consider as a normal string. So that now the S, this one, will be considered as normal. So Rix car, no more problems, right? So by using the backslash, we can escape the quote, and we can tell the compiler to ignore it and just want to use the backtick to be included. So that's why we need to use the backslash. Okay, now another awesome scenario here. I forgot the semicolon. Make sure that you write semicolons. It will work without semicolons, but it's always good at the end of the expression to write semicolons. Okay, now let's consider one awesome scenario. What will happen if we try to combine numbers, something that we have done here, and strings? So console.log, let's do it like this. So let's say 33 plus years. Now save it, and let's go back here, and it's saying 33 years. Even if I put here space, still gonna be 33 years, right? So why this is happening? Why this result? Well, JavaScript will convert the number to a string, this number to a string. Why? Because the plus sign will tell the JavaScript compiler, okay, we have number and a string, and the plus sign probably means concatenation. And that's why it will glue this the same as we did here, right? So that is pretty much it. So this plus sign doesn't mean mathematical operation in this, because we don't have two numbers, and it said because we do have a string together with a number, let's do a concatenation. So it doesn't matter what you're gonna put here, it's gonna be considered as concatenation. That is pretty much it. Now the 33, it's not number, here it is, it's different color. It's converted back to a string. So it's automatically converts 33 to string, because it's not addition, it's concatenation. And that depends on the circumstances. Now, what if we do another scenario? Copy this. Well, let's put here 33 minus, just like this. What if I have here a number in quotes? That is considered as a string, right? Save it. But let's see what will happen. Wow, something strange. Now I do have a blue 23. That means it's a number. And why this is happening? Well, we don't have anything for concatenation. The plus sign can be used for mathematical operations like this, but also when we try to glue or attach two strings to each other. But here with the minus, there is a different story. The compiler will say, okay, whatever you have in a bracket, just consider it to be as a number, because we don't use number minus or this symbol here for concatenation, and that's why it will convert this string to a number, and yeah, we will have back a number result. Now the last thing that I want to discuss today is Boolean JavaScript types. So Boolean is also true or false. So Boolean is used by our computers. If you have done some IT qualification, you will know that the entire computer code is written using ones and zeros. So